You feel it, don't you? That creeping exhaustion, the dull ache behind the eyes that no amount of sleep can fix. It's the weight of a life lived on tiptoe, a constant, silent performance. We've been taught to wear masks, to present a carefully curated version of ourselves to the world, a persona that keeps the true depths of our being hidden away. Carl Jung spoke of this, of the face we show the world and the deeper reality we push aside. Think of myth, the hero, battered and bleeding, yet still compelled to answer the call. The queen, serene on her throne, hiding a gnawing emptiness within. These aren't just stories. They are echoes of a profound human struggle, a battle between the self we project and the self we fear to confront. This disconnect, this spiritual fatigue, is the price of living without true congruence. It's the numbness that settles in, the quiet depression that whispers in the midnight hours. Until we are willing to acknowledge the performance, to sit with the discomfort of its unraveling, we remain trapped. This isn't about finding a loophole or a shortcut. It's a reckoning, a call to face the unbearable truth that until you stop performing, you will never truly exist. And real quick, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this. Now let's keep going. The velvet rot of pretending. It sounds luxurious, doesn't it? Like a discarded opera costume, lined with silk and smelling faintly of forgotten perfume. But this isn't about lavishness. It's about the slow, imperceptible decay that sets in when the polished surface cracks. We build these elaborate facades, layer by layer, to shield ourselves from judgment, from vulnerability, from the terrifying prospect of being truly seen. Each smile that's a fraction too wide, each agreement that masks dissent, each carefully chosen word. They are bricks in the wall, building a fortress around the fragile core of our being. And the longer we live within these walls, the more they begin to crumble from the inside. The rot isn't external. It's the internal erosion, the spirit slowly petrifying. This isn't a sudden collapse. It's a gradual fading, like a photograph left too long in the sun. The vibrant colors leach away, leaving behind a pale imitation. The energy drains, replaced by a weary resignation. You start to feel like an actor who's forgotten their lines, fumbling through a role that no longer fits. This persistent pretense, this constant effort to maintain an illusion, drains the very life force from you. It is a subtle poison. But to understand why we cling so fiercely to these illusions, we must examine the masks we wear. The velvet rot of pretending is merely the symptom of a deeper ailment, a sickness that finds its reflection in the very tools we use to present ourselves to the world. The mirror of personas. It's everywhere, isn't it? In the endless scroll of curated lives, in the polite nods of strangers, in the echo chamber of our own assumptions. We are confronted, over and over, with the faces we present, the roles we inhabit. Each face is a persona, a carefully constructed mask designed to navigate the complexities of the external world. This isn't inherently bad. It's the scaffolding that supports our social interactions, the buffer between our raw interior and the often harsh realities of human connection. But the danger arrives when the scaffolding becomes the building. When we mistake the reflection for reality, the mask for the face. The persona, meant to protect, begins to imprison the self. Jung saw these personas as necessary, even vital. But he also warned of their seductive power, of the way they could become so convincing that we forget who we are beneath them. We become so adept at playing the part that we lose touch with the living, breathing individual who originated it. The mirror shows us a familiar stranger. This internal bifurcation, this split between the public face and the private self, creates a profound disharmony, a subtle dissonance that hums beneath the surface of our day-to-day existence. It is this dissonance that draws us into the next revelation, where the loss of our true self is marked by a profound silence. There's a forgotten name buried deep within a tower, not a physical tower, of course, but a psychic structure, a place where parts of ourselves go to be hidden, to be forgotten. This forgotten name is the true essence of who you are, a name whispered only in moments of deep authenticity before the world taught you how to speak differently. This inner tower is built from layers of expectation, of received wisdom, of unspoken rules. We climb higher and higher, seeking status, seeking validation, collecting achievements like trophies. But with each ascent, we leave more of ourselves behind in the darkness below. The name inscribed on our soul remains unread, unheard. The act of forgetting is not passive. It is an active suppression, a deliberate sealing away of what feels too vulnerable, too dangerous to acknowledge. It's the child's quiet fear of disappointing, of not measuring up, calcifying into adult armor. The forgotten name becomes a symbol of all that has been exiled from conscious awareness. Living without this name, without this core identity, leaves a hollow space, a space that aches. It's the feeling of being a ghost in your own life, moving through motions that feel both familiar and utterly alien. This forgotten name is the first casualty of the performance, and its absence creates a silence that the next exploration will reveal as something far more profound than mere quiet. Jung's final warning, the shadow's revenge, it's not a dramatic pronouncement, but a quiet observation. A chilling acknowledgement that what we push away, what we deny, has a way of returning, often with amplified force. The shadow isn't simply the bad parts of ourselves. It's anything that's been exiled from conscious awareness, anything deemed unacceptable by the persona, by society, by our own internalized critics. When we bury these aspects of ourselves, when we pretend they don't exist, we create a psychic imbalance. The shadow festers in the dark, accumulating power. It waits. It doesn't disappear because we refuse to look. It merely distorts. Think of a wound that isn't healed. It festers. It can poison the whole body. The revenge of the shadow isn't a conscious act of malice. It is the inevitable consequence of repression. It's the sudden outburst of anger you can't explain, the self-sabotaging behavior that sabotages your own success, the irrational fear that grips you. These are the shadow's whispers growing louder. This is the inner turmoil that arises when the carefully constructed edifice of the persona begins to crack under the pressure of unacknowledged truths. The shadow, a mirror of our disowned self, demands recognition. It seeks to reclaim the territory it was forced to abandon, and in its return, it highlights the central conflict, the archetypal battle for our inner wholeness, a struggle that often pits the neglected hero against the overwhelming mother. The wounded hero and the devouring mother. These are primal archetypes etched into the collective unconscious. The hero forever striving, yet carrying an invisible wound, a scar from a past defeat or betrayal. The mother depicted as all-giving and nurturing, but also as capable of consuming, of trapping her offspring in a state of perpetual dependency. In the landscape of our inner lives, these archetypes often represent competing forces. The wounded hero is the part of us that longs for autonomy, for individuation, for the courage to step out into the world and forge our own path. But that innate heroism is often crippled by the fear of rejection, a fear instilled by the subtle ways we've felt devoured by an overbearing need for love or approval. Perhaps it was the mother who subtly undermined your confidence, always pointing out flaws. Or perhaps it was the internalization of a societal pressure that demanded you remain dependent, never truly stand on your own feet. This devouring isn't always overt. It can be the suffocating embrace of expectation, the silent disapproval that keeps you tethered. This dynamic creates a profound inner conflict. The hero wants to break free, to heal their wound, but the internalized mother figure whispers doubts, pulling them back into the safety of dependence. This psychic tug-of-war leaves one feeling perpetually stuck, forever seeking external validation, a cycle that leads directly into the next trap. This ceaseless quest for external validation is not a genuine desire, it's a desperate attempt to fill a void. And where does this desperate seeking lead? It leads to a reward of numbness, a strange compensation for the effort of seeking. Approval as sacrament, numbness as reward. We elevate the opinions of others to something sacred. The nod of affirmation, the like on a post, the quiet compliment, these become sacraments, rituals that briefly alleviate the unseen suffering. We seek the divine in the eyes of others, believing their gaze can bestow meaning upon our existence. But this veneration of external validation is a desperate chase. It's a frantic attempt to find a missing piece of ourselves in the reflections of strangers. And what is the ultimate offering in this skewed sacrament? It's your own inner truth, your authentic voice, your genuine feelings. These are sacrificed at the altar of approval. The reward for this sacrifice is a peculiar kind of peace, numbness. When you've spent so much energy contorting yourself to fit the mold, when you've silenced every inner dissenting voice, the natural outcome is a dulling of the senses. The pain recedes, but so does everything else. Joy, passion, true connection, they all fade into a muted gray. This numbness isn't peace, it's an anesthetic, a way to survive the constant emotional toll of suppressing your true self. You survive, yes, but the cost is profound. You become a spectator in your own life, detached from the vibrant tapestry of human experience. This disengagement, though painful, is the prelude to understanding the deeper cost of this emotional self-denial. You are burying more than just feelings. You are sealing yourself within a tomb of unlived experience. The tomb of unlived emotion. Imagine a space within you sealed shut. Inside lie the feelings you've never allowed yourself to express, the tears never shed, the anger never voiced, the joy never fully embraced. These emotions, denied their natural release, don't simply vanish, they solidify. They become the dead weight in the psychic architecture. This inner tomb is built with the bricks of repression. Every time you swallow a bitter pill of resentment, every time you force a smile through tears, you are adding another stone to its walls. The desire for peace, for harmony, for acceptance leads us to inter these vital parts of ourselves, believing that by hiding them, we can escape their influence. But the unlived emotions don't stay dormant. They begin to exert a gravitational pull, drawing energy away from your present life. They are the ghosts that haunt the halls of your present, tinting your perceptions with a muted sorrow or an unacknowledged fear. This isn't just passive sadness, it's an active imprisonment. The consequence of this psychic entombment is a pervasive sense of emptiness, a feeling that something essential is missing. You may achieve external success, garner accolades, but the inner landscape remains barren. This barrenness is often misidentified, mistaken for something else entirely, a deeper conditioning that we mistake for emotion itself. Shame as architecture, not emotion. We are taught to perceive shame as a feeling, a fleeting discomfort that washes over us when we've done something wrong. But what if shame isn't just an emotion? What if it's the very foundation upon which we build our internal structures? What if it's the blueprint coded into our psychic architecture? From a young age, we internalize societal judgments, the silent critiques of parents, the expectations of peers. These whispers of inadequacy become the structural beams of our self-perception. Shame isn't just something we feel when we fail to measure up. It's the internal compass that guides us, dictating what is acceptable, what is worthy, what is permissible. This architectural shame dictates how we build our personas, how we ration our authenticity, how we engage with the world. It tells us to hide, to contort, to suppress. It is the unseen force that shapes our decisions, our relationships, our very sense of self. It is not a passing cloud. It is the weather system of our internal world. When shame becomes the architecture, then genuine emotional expression feels like demolition. It threatens the very integrity of the structures we've so painstakingly erected. Therefore, we often find ourselves perpetuating these false fronts, a cycle that leads us to chase a light that offers no true illumination. It leads to the illusion of spiritual awakening through performance. The false light of spiritual performance. In the quest for meaning, many are drawn to the luminous glow of spirituality. But what happens when this seeking becomes a performance? When the outward expression of piety or enlightenment is more about impressing others than aligning with an inner truth? This is the false light, a deceptive beacon that promises illumination but leads only to deeper shadows. This performance is subtle. It's the carefully worded platitudes, the practiced serenity, the ostentatious displays of virtue. It's the spiritual jargon used to create an aura of wisdom, effectively hiding the performer's lack of genuine inner connection. It's a sophisticated mask, often convincing even to the wearer. The danger lies in mistaking the performance for reality. The applause of the spiritual community becomes the validation. The outward markers of enlightenment replace the difficult work of inner transformation. Light becomes a spectacle, not a substance. It illuminates the stage, but leaves the wings in darkness. This pursuit of spiritual accolades creates a void where true transcendence should be. It's a hollow echo, a beautiful facade with nothing behind it. This unlived spiritual potential, this performance, leaves a mirror that cannot reflect true being. It shows only what is projected. The mirror has no memory. Think about it. A mirror shows you exactly what is in front of it in this precise moment. It has no past, no future, no accumulation of experience. It reflects, but it does not hold. If you were to turn away, the image would be gone. This is the nature of the persona, of the performance. It is a surface-level reflection, devoid of true history or depth. When we live through our personas, when our identity is tied to the roles we play, we are essentially living without memory. Each interaction, each perceived success or failure is a new performance, unburdened by genuine learning or growth. The same mistakes can be repeated, the same insecurities resurface, because the mirror of the persona has no ability to retain lessons. This lack of inner continuity, this absence of a remembered self, leads to a profound disorientation. It's like being adrift without an anchor, constantly buffeted by the winds of external opinion. The self becomes a fleeting image, dependent on whatever is being presented at that moment. There is no solid ground. This inability to integrate past experiences, to learn from them, and build a coherent sense of self leaves one vulnerable. It makes the prospect of genuine change terrifying, as it requires confronting the unremembered past. Yet, it is only through such confrontation, through offering something more substantial than mere reflection, that true transformation can begin. The offering demands a sacrifice of something that has been built over time. The sacrifice of congruence. Congruence, it's a word that speaks of alignment, of harmony, of being true to one's inner nature. But in a world that often rewards performance, that values the polished facade over the raw truth, congruence becomes a radical act. It demands a sacrifice, a letting go of the familiar, the comfortable. To live congruently is to risk disapproval. It is to expose the parts of yourself that don't fit the mold, the opinions that deviate from the norm, the feelings that don't align with the expected narrative. It means choosing authenticity over popularity, inner integrity over outer acclaim. This choice often feels like a loss, a shedding of protective layers. The sacrifice isn't necessarily dramatic. It's in the quiet refusal to agree when you disagree. It's in speaking your truth, even when your voice trembles. It's in aligning your actions with your values, even when it's inconvenient or unpopular. This is where the real work lies, not in grand gestures, but in the consistent practice of being truly yourself. This internal alignment is not always easy. It requires a willingness to face the potential discomfort that comes with genuine expression. It is the conscious decision to step out from behind the mirror of performance, even when the reflection beckons with familiarity. This brave decoupling creates a new kind of grounding, a force that begins to pull us inward towards a different kind of existence. Silence as psychic gravity. We often associate silence with absence, with emptiness. But what if silence is not a void, but a force, a powerful gravitational pull that draws us towards the core of our being? In our culture, filled with constant noise and distraction, we have learned to fear silence, to fill it with anything to avoid confronting what lies within. This deep-seated aversion to silence is a clue. It suggests that within that quiet space resides something potent, something that the external world and our performance-driven selves are desperate to avoid. The uninvited thoughts, the suppressed emotions, the forgotten truths, they gather in this inner stillness. When we learn to embrace the silence, to allow it to hold us without flinching, we begin to experience its gravity. It pulls us away from the superficialities of the persona, from the endless chase for external validation. It draws us down into the deeper layers of our psyche, where true change and integration can occur. This psychic gravity of silence is the counterforce to the outward momentum of performance. It's the stillness that allows the seeds of authenticity to sprout. But to truly harness this power, we must be aware of the forces within us that resist it, the inner saboteurs that guard the echoes of our unlived lives. The inner saboteur as guardian of the echo, we have a curious relationship with our own self-destruction. Often, the very forces that seem to undermine us are, in fact, fiercely protective. The inner saboteur, that voice of doubt and fear, isn't necessarily trying to annihilate you. It's often guarding something precious, an echo of a past self, a vulnerable truth that it fears will be destroyed if exposed. This guardian operates through familiar patterns: procrastination, self-criticism, avoidance. It whispers reasons why you shouldn't try, why you'll fail, why it's safer to remain as you are, hidden and protected, even if that protection is a gilded cage. It's an echo chamber of past traumas, a fear of repeating cycles of pain. The saboteur's methods are insidious because they feel like self-preservation. The fear of judgment, the terror of abandonment, the memory of past wounds, these are the echoes the saboteur is determined to keep buried. To confront these echoes is to risk immense pain, and so the saboteur constructs barriers. Understanding this dynamic is crucial. The self-sabotaging behaviors aren't random acts of malice. They are the desperate attempts of a wounded part of you to shield itself from perceived annihilation. But this protection comes at a cost. It prevents us from experiencing what truly lies beyond the echoes, the aspects of ourselves that the performance cannot touch. What the performance cannot touch. Beneath the layers of persona, behind the carefully constructed facade, there exists a core of being that remains impervious to the performance. This is the part of you that was present before the masks, the essence that remains even when the roles are shed. It is vast, unyielding, and utterly real. The performance is a masterful illusion, a distraction from this fundamental reality. It draws our attention outward, to the applause, to the criticism, to the ever-shifting stage of external validation. But the performance, no matter how elaborate, can never truly touch this inner core. It can mask it, it can numb it, but it cannot annihilate it. Think of it as the deepest root of a tree. The branches may be pruned, the leaves may wither, but the root remains grounded, drawing sustenance from the earth. This untouchable core is where true strength resides. It is the silent witness to your entire existence, the part of you that knows itself independent of any external affirmation. Recognizing this inherent resilience is a radical act of self-discovery. It allows us to question the necessity of the performance, to see it for the illusion it is. Because when you begin to understand what the performance cannot touch, you also begin to see the gate that opens when the role is refused. The gate that opens when the role is refused. When you finally acknowledge the performance for what it is, when you begin to question the validity of the roles you've been playing, something extraordinary happens. The gate opens. Not with a grand flourish, but with a quiet sigh of release. It is the end of the acting, the beginning of being. Refusing the role means consciously stepping away from the persona, from the constant effort to impress, to conform, to please. It's a decision to stand in your own truth, even when it feels uncertain, even when it invites vulnerability. This refusal is not an erasure of self, but an invitation to discover the self that was there all along, unblemished by performance. This opening is a threshold. It leads to a space where genuine connection is possible, where emotions can flow freely, and where authenticity is not a performance, but a state of being. It is the embrace of congruence, the acceptance of your unlived emotions, and the understanding that shame is not your architecture, but a discarded blueprint. The gate doesn't lead to a destination, it leads to a process. It's the ongoing practice of shedding the masks, of honoring the silence, and of recognizing the untouchable core of your being. It is the final step in a descent, not into darkness, but into the profound, luminous reality of who you truly are, a realization that transcends all performance. Now that concludes this video. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.